Global warming is a looming threat to stability and national security around the world, and militaries should spend some of their ever-expanding budgets on reducing carbon emissions to avoid climate chaos, Christiana Figueres, the UN's top climate official, noted recently. Ms. Figueres points out the world's military budgets grew by 50% in the first 9 years of this century. Rather than continue that growth in weaponry, she said the world's generals should invest in preventative budgets to avoid the climate chaos that would demand a defense response that makes even today's spending burdens look light. Militaries should pursue their historic role as technology innovators, she maintained. This is an opportunity for the military industry to become the cutting edge of clean technologies that are urgently needed. Ms. Figueres' opinion was reflected in the U.S. Joint Forces Command Joint Operating Environment 2010, which identifies dwindling energy, water, food, and fish stocks as potential future military flashpoints. There is only one technology that can address these issues in total, concurrently to remedying the cause and effect of climate change. It is ocean thermal energy conversion, or OTEC. At the recent Davos conference, Ernest Moniz, director of the MIT Energy Initiative and member of President Obama's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology, said that solar is ultimately the real game changer. The big Achilles heel of solar electricity is that the sun doesn't shine 24 hours a day, so ways have to be found to store it to avoid disruption, he noted. Unfortunately, Dr. Moniz overlooked the fact solar power is being stored in the oceans constantly, to the extent the seas are expanding and the ice caps are melting, with the result the ramifications of global warming will be felt for 1,000 years. Sea levels will continue to rise by about 4 meters because of the thermal inertia of the oceans unless we convert accumulating ocean heat to carbon-free sustainable energy using OTEC. The more heat that is converted, the more the oceans will be cooled, so the less they will expand and the less ice they will melt. Conventional OTEC has 3 problems: cost, environmental ramifications, and limited capacity. The first 2 of these are addressed by a deep water condenser. The latter by a countercurrent heat transfer system, the subject of the last video in this series. In the Time blog, Energy Reducing CO2 Emissions Will Be Harder Than You Think, Brian Waltz says, until we take on what the late Nobel laureate Richard Smalley called the terawatt challenge, we are just screwing around on climate change and energy. Taking the problem seriously would be a good first step. Dr. Richard Smalley itemized the top 10 global concerns as follows: the first, energy; second, water; third, food; fourth, environment; fifth, poverty; sixth, terrorism and war; seventh, disease; 8, education; 9, democracy; 10, population. He compiled this list after consulting numerous audiences to his energy presentation about the most critical problems mankind will confront in the 21st century. In every case, Dr. Smalley's audiences agreed that energy is the single most important issue, mainly because it is the key to resolving the other problems. In a presentation, Twin Threats to Resource Scarcity, Oil and Water, the late Matthew Simmons gave to the 2010 Marsh National Oil Companies Conference, he pointed out that water is even more priceless than oil. Without water, we cannot create modern energy. Without water, we have no food. As was noted in Mr. Simmons' PowerPoint, Americans may eventually find a way to live without oil, but water is another story.